Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'll be showcasing you the UI of Rome Remastered. So we could just see how good or bad it is, because there's been a lot of feathers surrounding the UI, and there's been people telling, well, it's easy, you just gotta get used to it, It's quite easy and good and simple to learn, you just gotta get used to it. Because even though it's simple, you just have to get used to it. Wrong. Things are not meant to be something you just got to get used to when it comes to UI, UX, when it comes to ergonomics. It should be something you're eased into, something that's easy, natural, and quick, understandable. Something that when you use it, you logically can deduct how other parts of the UI work. The first thing I need to mention is the minimap. This minimap is taking up this space instead of it being down here, as it was in the old UI. I cannot make this minimap any bigger. It is how it is right now, and I cannot magnify it. I could do that in the old game. Near the minimap, we have what year it is, what turn it is, and what season it is. Okay, we have gold income. We can see how much we're getting. Okay, sure. We can click Alt and we'll expand it. Okay, that's decent. But my question is, why isn't this here next to the end turn button? You could just place it over here and have the end turn button next to it, and then it's gonna be easy. You don't even have to make it a hourglass, just make it a generic end turn button. Why? Well, I assume it's because they want these to be balanced with these. A new button, a new add-on, is this map overview, which is a pretty useful tool when you have a lot of stuff, and I applaud them for this, but it does lack some things that it could show. It lacks to show you where you can upgrade your settlements. This upgrade possible is only for units, so let's discount that. This legend is okay. I mean, you need to know which faction is which, and you will be shown which faction controls it by just hovering over it, which is fine. All these mods are fine, but the one that's lacking is religion. Now, there is no religion in the core game, but religion exists in Alexander engines and Barbarian Invasion engines, and it doesn't exist here. It's important information because in Barbarian Invasion you want to know what's the religion of surrounding areas, and you want to keep an eye on them, so you would be able to plan ahead, especially if you're playing with like Lesser Roman Empire, then it's very needed for you to know that information. I have nothing else bad to say about this. This is decent. It lacks the religion mod, and that is it. This feature I'm completely satisfied with. Okay, let's move on. So after this, I need to talk about the advisor. In the original game, when you would select an advisor and click this help icon, you would get an advisor voiced by a female voice actor, which will tell you, click this, click that, do that. Maybe you want to construct the barracks, maybe you want to construct this or that, based on the current situation, because it will be more beneficial to you at this time. It was just random suggestions. It wasn't really an AI that analyzes what you've done and tells you what you need to do. It was just, random advice. So you would get started, so you would start doing stuff. But now when I click it, I don't get any information. Okay, so I don't get much information. It says, okay, so I need to mouse to learn more, but that's something that you learn from any game ever, so not helping me much. Back in the day, when you would clicker, you would have a voiceover, but now you don't. When you inspect stuff, you can see, okay, so this is public order, blah, 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 this is what it gives, these are the requirements. So just the game engine stuff. This is good, because it's only showing you what is needed information. It would have been better if it appeared in the center of the screen and just had these things like in the top row, and then you would have description here, but alas, this is fine as well, but it's kinda annoying that you have to move your eyes and you move your head to the left every time you want to see a building or a unit. If you want to see the description fluff text, you can click this. Some people will click this, some won't. There's a lot of insider jokes that I do not think I can show you right now because I don't see the Romans have an aqueduct. But there's a flavor text for Monty Python on there that says, "What did the Romans ever do for us?" And it's referencing a Monty Python show. It was funny, but most people would just miss it nowadays. So other than this, which I guess I support it because it says the only important things, and to hell with people who want to read the description, I guess. It shouldn't have been placed somewhere else. Now, let's see the units. When I right click, I get an overview that's pretty much everything I need about the unit. And if I want to see the lore, quote unquote, about it, I can do it. So when it comes to units, this is pretty fine and gives you all of the information you need, but when it comes to buildings, it loses a bit of its charm. Here you can disband the unit, and here you can see its description, basic info. Okay, that's fine, but I do not agree with the placement. Next I need to discuss are these buttons over here. This button is the building browser, pretty useful. You need this. It was on a panel when you open a city, it was like here, and you click it and you will get this. This is much more readable than the original one, which I applaud. This is very good because it shows you how much population you need per level and how do you unlock it and what do you get. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. I like it. And then I come to the issue of these buttons over here, which will trigger another issue I need to show you guys. Right, so I have this lad over here. If I move him to a city that currently has 19 troops out of 20, I'm going to have full 20. Now, before this guy was moved into the city, there was a plus over here. I'm going to move some other unit so you can see it. So there's recruitment. If I click on this, I will see what units I can recruit or retrain. Okay? But if I have this guy over here, I have no way of accessing it through this menu, which is odd. If you are getting me used to press recruitment, and if you're getting me used to click construction, if when I move this guy over here, it does nothing, it obscures this, then there is an issue with the UI that needs to be resolved because it's ruining the consistency. In order for me to retrain, I would need to click recruitment, or I would need to click numpad 5, which took me like 5 minutes to figure out. It's not intuitive because it's over here. If you want me to use this menu, remove the ability for me to move my guys over here. Just remove that. I do not need it if I have things on the right because it does nothing. It's just making me, I don't know, panic, freak out, weird out because I do not understand what's happening. So if I move them back, I again have the same problem. Now, when it comes to buildings, I need something that is scrollable. This isn't scrollable, although it's a very big city. Let's go to Tyrus. So this is your starting capital, but because this is from the capital, this is my current capital, but that's not part of the UI, what I'm talking about. When I want to see all of the buildings that I have, I need to scroll, which is not very intuitive because scrolling doesn't really work. Because when you scroll, you expect it to go up and down, so up and down. This is not scrolling, this is holding Alt and scrolling, and that's just not intuitive. Especially if you're used any software ever in the universe. That's not how scrolling works, and we all know that. Another pet peeve, well, not a pet peeve, but something that comes out as being bad in accessibility, is that when I click construction, the same as when I click recruitment, I get a pop-up over here, and then I need to snap my head to the right and read all these things and just inspect them and see what they are. So I move my head to the right, I move my head to the left. Now, some people have laptops and they do not care about this, but when you have a big screen, this is tedious. This is quite tedious, and it takes a lot of time to do, especially on a 4K monitor that's big. It especially takes time there. Now, let's say I want a better system. What would I do? Well, I would simply put things where these icons of currently constructed buildings are at in this moment. So, I would simply, when I click construction, it's better to show it here. When I click construction, instead of it popping over here, I would have these icons disappear, being replaced by these, and these information being replaced by buildings available for construction. Now, before you take up your shield and spear or whatever nonsense you want to say and tell me, but dude, it's the limitations of the engine, I will have to remind you that developers are not limited by the engine, because developers can use the source code. And when you can use the source code of an application, you can do whatever you want to it. Proof for that is that they added a bunch of shaders and realistic skies that are pretty much an application that scans the real sky of that day and sends it to you so you would have accurate skies of that location. If they're able to do that, they should be able to replace these icons with these icons and just put a fucking font over here and call it a day. But no, they did not do that. Why? Because they're bad at their jobs. That is why. That's why. That's why they didn't do that. Just admit it. Just embrace the fact they're incompetent, and it's gonna be easier for you to accept the fact this game is a failure. Next, the same could have been done for recruitment. I could just have this menu over here. Oh, but what if there's more than 20 units available to recruit? I'll just add a scroll up and down, and that's it. Just do that. And how do I exit this menu? You just right click. You just right click. That's it. You just right click and you exit it. It's not been implemented. It's not a thing they chose to do. This is what they chose to do, and it looks atrocious. People will say, well, that's because they made it for a tablet. No, they did not make it for a tablet. Making something like this on a tablet would be very bad. It would be very unreadable, and people would not like it. Wouldn't be ergonomic at all on a laptop. Oh, sorry, on a tablet. On a laptop, it's not ergonomic as well. So, no, I do not get why they did that. These information over here are decent, but the problem is when I hover over this, it says happy. I mean, I know it's happy. It's 165, and it's a green face. It's smiling. But in what ways is it happy? I need to know what makes it happy. So, I need these informations when I hover over this, because that's something that's been in modern Total War games. And yes, you can add that. It's just a goddamn tooltip. All you have to do is read the variables that you put over here. You just put them into a tooltip. The same way you manage to do things like this in this tooltip. This isn't something that existed in the original game for the financial overview. It has been added by programmers, so it is pretty much possible to do. Why is it not being done? I have no idea. Next thing is these two things. Now, I'm sorry, I opened the wiki somehow. Hold on. Probably because I alt-clicked. This thing over here and this screen over here, they could have been merged into one screen. But okay, sure, I have it separated, but it's still weird to have it separated like this. Whatever. This menu is pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing wrong with it. It might have been merged with this one, but let's say it's fine. For disorder and public order, we used to have icons, and it was kind of easier to tell because you would just see the icons and your eye would just click, your brain would click with it, and you would completely understand it. And now you need to read instead of just looking at the icons. I mean, sure, but it's a very bad way to do things. Now, next that I need to show you something that's really atrociously stupid is the Find My Settlement button. This is the Find My Settlement button. What it does, it just goes to the settlement. If I click it again, it wants me to view the settlement. This is a redundant feature, and I'm going to show you why. Right click on settlements, and for some reason I'm not looking at the settlement, and I go, oh shit, where is Diaspora? There. It centers on it, so this button does nothing. It's redundantly useless. But oh, what if you're not opening it like this? Well, then you have like 4 or 5 cities, and 4 or 5 cities when you zoom out is like this. This is pretty much your starting location as trace. Can I click K? Oh yes, I can click K. This is your start location as trace. It's like, you don't even have to zoom out. You see the cities there. You can just access them, it's easy. You don't need this, or you don't need to do this, for example. Oh no, I'm checking something in Rome and I need to take my camera over here. Why? I mean, if I click on this unit, it doesn't double click there. I would still need to do this. It's bad. It should just snap to unit when I double click it, but okay, whatever. It's apparently not designed for humans. Apparently they are aliens, and that's why they didn't do any marketing. That's why the game is like this, because they're aliens. They just do not understand as humies. They don't know what ergonomics is. Well, they do, but only for alien ergonomics. Whatever. So this is auto merge units. We cannot use it right now, and this is make this settlement a faction capital. Took me some time to figure out this is here and what it does, because in the original game, in the information panel, you had a button that looked just like this, but it being here was just invisible to my eyes. I already covered these buttons, and these buttons over here feels that I've been forced to be there, that a designer put this locate position of the settlement and put this, make the settlement the faction capital, so they would balance with these two things. They didn't want to put settlement income and settlement details separate over here. Well, why? Well, maybe they just want to have 4 icons, and this is why these things have been included. This status bar is okay, but you will be checking settlements like this most likely, and you will have this open. So every time you click on a settlement, you see what can be constructed, and you just go to the list of settlements, clicking on them. Because using this is not as efficient as it used to be. There's a lot of delay, and when you do this, it's less delay. Or when you want to recruit, you just click this, and there you go. You just go to the available armies and go to the available cities, and that's it. It's not difficult to do. Why did they include additional stuff? I have no idea, but I guess aliens made this game or something. This gold should be here. This date should be here. The minimap should be here, because these things are pretty much redundant except for the building browser, because if you implement what I said about the scroll, it becomes more readable, because you can have things over here and you do not need to click your head left and right, and you can just have an information panel pop over here because it's easy for you to do so. But let's say you have a situation where you're looking through settlements and you're right clicking this. Sure, in that situation you don't want this to pop out, but just close the screen and open the information. I mean, it's easy, but okay, Creative Assembly, whatever. This is the path you chose, so who gives a fuck? Next, let's go to notifications. I sadly have no notifications here, but if I did, I need to click on the alerts and then click on each of the individual alerts. Now, in the original game, I wouldn't be reading these because I would just see the title, and if I do not care about it, I would just right click it and ignore it. In Remastered, I realized I'm never clicking at it because it requires too much effort. Now this will look like me whining, but it does require too much effort, because notifications would usually just be piling up here and we just check them out quickly and you know what was happening. Now it's a chore. It takes a lot of clicks for you to do so, and it's just the right spot annoying. Now, why do we have 3 of these over here? Well, most likely because we have 3 of these over here. So this is a decent overview. We see who he is. We see he's a factionaire, where he's located, his age, and the name. Okay, decent. We see his trace, whatever. So when we see the opponent, we'll see his Macedon. Okay, just looks better visually, but not needed. So if we click here, we can see all of the characters and the followers of the character. When we right click on his image, we see nothing. When we right click over here in his image, we see the same thing. So this is a redundant thing. If we want to see their bodyguard, the only way for us to do so is, I think we can double click here. Hold on. No. The only way to do that is like this. So this is not a redundant button, but this is. Next we have move followers, which I'll touch on later. It's implemented very, very badly. It's so goddamn bad. Oh my god, don't get me started on it. Next we have the faction overview. This I have no grapes against. It's simple. It should be simple. This should be removed. I'm not playing as the Romans and I should not be seeing this. Just center these buttons in accordance with the faction summary and that's it. Just don't make life more complicated for you. It's not worth it. Do not do it. So remove the goddamn button. Have some sort of consistency. I'm not playing Romans. I do not want to see this. I'm not a fucking Roman. Remove it, please. It's useless. Next we go to factions. This is okay. I would wish that I could click a faction over here so it would display the information for that faction instead of me having to click here, but I guess that's just a feature, not a bug, right? You intended it for it to work like this, right, Feral? You didn't want the players to click here because that would be too easy. You want them to suffer a little bit? Yeah, I understand. You want people to suffer. That's why you made this remake, didn't you not, Feral? So, yeah, decent, except that you can't click this shit, which is quite an annoying thing to face. It's good they added relationships. Now I know with whom I'm in a good relationship. Oh, and this is bugged. Hold on. I'm not in a very friendly relationship with Gaul. I am enemies with Gaul. So I've discovered a bug accidentally. Whoopsies. So yeah, apparently I'm very good friends with Gaul. I didn't know that. And every time I ask them for a ceasefire, they refuse it. Not a very good friend, are they? Funny that. Finance and family. I mean, sure, this is fine. The family tree is pretty fine. You can see, you can click on someone, you see the parents, the wife, the offspring. This is much better than the original one because you can see everything. You can even sort things. I did not find it that useful, but it's good that it exists. You can click on the family tree, which looks decent. I would like it to be animated in the background because I do not understand why it's static. It looks like something that should be animated, or even looks like something that you should just overlay people walking next to the graves or units walking in the background, just like in the original game. Maybe that would have been a good inclusion, but alas, it's not. Women still have no personalities in this game. It's 2021. Feral Interactive. Women used to have avatars in the original game. Sometimes they would even have unique avatars. Are you saying women are objects, Feral Interactive? So you can just place a random picture and not care about it. That's kind of wrong. That's kind of wrong, Feral. That's not how you do things nowadays, is it? Next. List scroll. For some godforsaken reason, you have the list scroll over here and the list scroll over here. So every time you right click over here, you get the same thing you would get from the list scroll, except you don't. The list scroll is much more detailed, and you can actually see a lot of good and valuable information. And when you click locate position, it's useful in the list scroll, but it's useless here because you know where you are. But when you click it on the list scroll, you just get lost. So in order to get back to this menu, you need to click this. Why? Just fucking why? Why didn't you give it as a hotkey, as everything else is hotkeyed? Why is it working like this? And why when I click this, I lose the menu? Whatever. You can set up the taxes over here, good. You can see the return income, good. It's a bit better overview, but it's kind of useless because you need to click the button again, and that's not how you make UI very interactive. This is just not the way to do it. Believe me, that this is fucking bad. Next, you go military. And if you double click, you will just be teleported over there and lose the menu and not be able to access it again. And for you to have to use this menu because it's 5 times better, because you can see all of your goddamn fucking armies and move to them and use them from that menu. Feral. Why? Nobody knows, but you did it. Congrats, big boy, you did it. Agents. Why? So we have this menu that's also displaying us where they can be and what they can be doing, and we have this menu with our agents. I don't get it. And if we click this, it's the same as if we're using this menu over here. So this has features that the right click over here doesn't. And if we right click over here, we have the same features as this one, except in this one, we can target certain things that we maybe do not see right out, but our agent knows it's there, so we can go there. But if it's in Fog of War, we have no idea where to go regardless. So if it's in Fog of War and we try to use this, we will not see it. I can see this only being useful when you know the locations well in the game. But if you do not, and if you do not have a very good memory of, I don't know where Nicomedia is, you may be a nerd, but this is over here, Nicomedia. But if you're not a goddamn nerd that knows the history and location of settlements, this can be quite useless because, so negotiate with Kotais. Where is Kotais? That's right, you guessed it. This is Kotais. And how do I know that? I just do. I revealed it, I remembered it was Kotais, but how many of us actually remember those things? Not many of us, and the only reason I remembered it is because I played this game too much for my own good when I was younger. So that's why I know it's Kotais over there. Bad feature. Horrible waste of time. Next we have followers. Another badly implemented feature. We have 2 characters over here. The older guy and the younger guy. If I want to drag a follower to the younger guy, I cannot do it anymore. In the old UI, I could have done that, just drag it, but nowadays it's something that shouldn't be done. It's just a bad thing to do. So the best way to do it now is go to the followers. You pick the guy you want the followers transferred to, and you just scroll and find the fitting follower. Yes, you can sort by positive and negative. That's it. But it requires you to remember the profile image of the character you want to transfer him from. Sometimes if they have the same profile image, which happens almost never, but can happen sometimes. In some weird situations, if you have undying characters, it can happen. You will have to remember how much turns they're far off and the other agents it has. And this isn't even sorting by the characters. It's bad. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go generals, but it's just bad. I mean, it's not even showing me only the generals. It's showing me all. See it? I still see the diplomat, and this isn't even functioning. It's just bad. I mean, when I go generals, I see spies. When I go spies, I just see spies and just... Oh no, it's working. So it's just bugged randomly. Of course it's bugged randomly. Of course it is. That's a feature. That's not a bug, yo. And what else do I have to say about this masterpiece of a UI? No, wait, that's it. That's it when it comes to the UI. I have nothing else to say about the UI. I've pretty much said everything I have about it. This, for some reason, has a separation over here. Okay, that's a feature, I guess. Again, it's not a bug, it's a feature. They wanted it like that for some fucking reason. Maybe they're aliens. If they're aliens, then I should probably not putting this video out because they're gonna abduct me and probe me because I've discovered their ancient knowledge or something. Right. So I've been rambling around 30 minutes on this, and I think the video should end soon enough. And for last note, for everyone who's still watching and who still keeps attention, there's a lot of people who try to convince you this is intuitive UI and intuitive design. A lot of people that are shills for Total War, like Admiral Price, for example, wink wink, will try to blame you for not understanding this UI. I say you are not to blame. I say me, as a graphical designer, could not figure it out. Me, who has a job that's devoted to making AI and bug testing AI and seeing if it's good enough or not, I was confused using it. And you, as someone who's not into the waters of UI and UX, will be confused as well. So do not believe the shills when they say, well, you'll get used to it, well, it's intuitive. Just accept the fact that it's bad. Accept the fact that we have been delivered a bad product from Feral Interactive in association with Creative Assembly. That they do not respect us as customers, that they just saw us as cash cows, so they would grab our nostalgia for this wonderful game and turn it into liquid cash because they didn't need the liquid cash in that moment. I'm the first one who wanted to see this game succeed. I'm the first one who wanted to see this UI be beautiful and useful. I'm the first one who loves this game, who loved it when it was the original game, who played it originally, and I have many fond memories of it. But the harsh reality, the harsh truth is that this UI and this game is just not up to standard of the original, and it's not up to the standard of even Rome 2, which was a pretty bad game. It was a pretty bad game on launch and still is in many ways. But this game just doesn't compare. Even though it's just Rome 1 with additional stuff on it and a bit better frames if you just click around options and just edit your NVIDIA card for like 5 minutes or something, it's still it's just bad. I'm sorry, but it's just bad. I might do a video about comparing the graphical glitches, the graphical issues, the combat issues later on if I get enough sleep, if I get enough patience. So keep in tuned if you want to see that. I don't give a fuck if you like, comment, but I want you to share this video so people would have a video they can point to which isn't completely full of hate and which completely shows you why the UI is bad and gives you an opinion, a professional opinion, why it is bad. Now, I did curse during this video and I was very aggressive in some parts of this video, but that's just my inner self rebelling against bad practices that I've saw in this game. And before we depart, I have one more curious thing to show you. Now, originally, you could just right-click. So I'm right-clicking. I don't have an overlay that shows you that I'm right-clicking, so this is left and this is right. You should probably hear because my mic isn't professionally set up. So this is right-click. I'm not getting any information. But if I hold shift, if I hold shift, I'll get the information I want and need. I would like this to be told to me by an advisor, by a tip on the loading screen. Instead, I had to figure it out by asking a friend that also plays. Which it's it's not intuitive if you need someone else to tell you how to use it. That's not how intuitive design works. Right. I'll be leaving you now, guys. Goodbye, and find a better game to spend your time and money on. See ya.